Nintendo is the most bipolar company in the world. They will make you crazy. They will make you so happy. They will make you want to throw them through a wall. There is so much to unpack from this Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And let me just start off by saying, I love the direction. I love the vision. I love seeing the youth, right? They gave us our very first look here was Mario Kart, but then right after the new Mario Kart World, they showed us the three main guys who are in control of the Switch 2. The producer, Koichi Kawamoto, the director, the Takahiro Dota, I believe, and then the hardware design lead, Tetsuya Sasaki. Excuse me for my mispronunciation of all of those, but those are the three main guys, and it reminds me so much of 2017. The Nintendo Switch presentation back then was phenomenal because they showed us a bunch of new guys that we hadn't seen for a while, and we didn't really know existed, but we know now. They are in charge. They are leading the charge, and it's not just a bunch of old people at Nintendo making the decisions. These are young minds who are listening to developers and listening to fans, and I love to see it. I love to see these three guys taking charge of this new era. I wonder if we'll see Takahashi again. I kind of doubt it, but I hope he is doing well. I hope his new position, whatever he's doing, is phenomenal, and he is a great guy, and he led us into this golden age. These three men now are going to lead us even further. This is an overall discussion of the Direct, so let me be clear, I am not going into extreme detail on every single announcement and thing I talk about here, but moving forward, we have Mario Kart World, the very first, what I would consider to be an open world Mario Kart in which you can go wherever the heck you want, but also at the same time, you get 24 racers, and then you get to 3 different checkpoints in regular races, and by the time you get to a certain checkpoint, if you are in 24th, if you are in 16th, if you are anywhere in between a certain amount of spots, you get eliminated, and then it goes down to what I believe is the final 4, and then you get to the finish line and you are the ultimate victor. Now, I don't know how they're going to balance this weird open world style with old retro tracks, because they had Toad's Factory music in the background. They showed off, I believe, a DS track that had the bullet bill that everyone has always wanting, and I think it's like a Fortress track. I can never remember its name, but they showed off some old stuff. And I don't know how they're going to do this with the new method other than just completely and totally remastering all of those to fit the modern standard. Now, this game is huge. Let me be clear, it is huge. And all of these other Switch 2 games, which we all thought were going to be $70, they look like the standard price will be $70. However, if you have not heard, this game, Mario Kart World, will be $80. $80. Now, that is a lot more than anyone could have anticipated, much more than I had anticipated. In one of my Nintendo news segments a while back, I talked about how there was an analyst who was hoping that Grand Theft Auto 6 would be over $100, and the industry was looking to move towards more expensive games in general. Now, I knew that Nintendo would eventually go to $70. Tears of the Kingdom was $70 on the Switch, and I believe was worth every single penny. Now on the Switch 2, the baseline will be $70. Most of these games are going to be $70. Perhaps there will be an exception. Some of them will be $60. Hopefully that Switch 2 hardware game that they showed off, that should be a pack-in game that they're actually charging for, is insane. But hopefully that game is $60 or less. Hopefully it's like, I don't know, it should be $30. It should be $20. It should be free. But so many of these games are going to be way more expensive, so we're going to have to look out for a lot of these first-party games and how much they cost. Now, the only thing we have here to hang our hats on as to why I believe the rest of the console games are $70 is that Donkey Kong, the new 3D Donkey Kong game Bonanza, is $70 confirmed. But the thing about both of these, and I'm going to talk about it in its own video, so I'm not going to get too bogged down here, the prices for the physical and digital games are different. If you want to get a physical version of these games, it will be $10 more. So Mario Kart World is $80, but that's only digitally. If you want it physically, it will be $90. Same thing for Donkey Kong Bonanza, $70 digitally, $80 physically. Now, I really hope that Nintendo takes this approach and really runs with it in terms of discounts. Now, they have never ever been a big fan of discounting their games because they are full believers that it doesn't matter when our game is, how old it is or whatever, because it's always worth the same. If we decrease its value, then it makes it seem as though it wasn't as good in the first place, which is such baloney. But I hope come Black Friday, Mario Kart is on sale. I hope these games are on sale to $70 to $60, at least $70 to $60, to make it more approachable for the mothers and the fathers who go to the stores and buy these games physically. Because most people are going to want to wrap stuff up under their Christmas tree, right? They're going to want to buy things physically. And if they see that price tag, they're going to be entirely deterred from not only your games, but your console. So Nintendo is taking an extremely risky move here. That's a whole nother topic for another video, so I will move on from the price for now and talk about the Switch 2 price itself. They did not announce any of these prices in the Direct itself, by the way. All of this information came from their website afterwards, which is kind of scummy. To be honest, if you wanted to tell everyone, if you're going to charge that, you need to at least be able to look us in the eye and tell us this is how much it's going to be, because that's exactly what they did. The very first thing in the Switch presentation, they showed off the release date, March 3rd, 2017, and then $300 retail price. I fully understand, however, the price for the Switch 2. I predicted it would be $400 and $450 at most. It was $450. Now, this console is absolutely insane, and I believe is worth every penny of that $450. It goes up to 4K! 4K! Nintendo making 4K games in 2025, 120 frames per second, which is absolutely insane. Both those are double of what the Switch 1 could produce. Now, in handheld mode, it will be 1080p, which means you can play up to 1080p and 60 FPS on handheld mode, which means all of your games are going to be running as smooth as butter in handheld mode. Everything on the Nintendo Switch, everything that thing could produce to put on a TV is going to be what you can experience in handheld mode for the Switch 2. That is how much more powerful this console is. A lot of people have been saying a lot of things about this thing not being as powerful, being a lesser version, but no, this is the next generation, truly the next generation, and all of these games look breathtaking. More features include game chat, which they spent an unreasonable amount of time on. Basically, the Switch 2 has a microphone on it. No matter where you are in the room or if you're playing handheld, it will pick up your voice, and it says that there's some sort of crazy technology in which, one, if there's a noise in the background like a blender, it will still be able to hear your voice perfectly fine. That's at least what they're advertising. There's a mute button. You can have a Switch 2 camera as an accessory, and you can plug it in and show people your cam and play online together and show each other your games. You can play separately, and there's a big box at the bottom, and you can have all your games together, and it runs horribly. It looks really bad in the trailer, so it's probably not going to look very well on your actual console. But if that is still an option for you to play with people across the world and just be able to watch each other's games. Game chat will be exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online members. They are really pushing for you to not only get a Nintendo account, but a Switch Online account. And this game chat open access means you can have free game chat for an entire year. It ends on March 31st, 2026, which reminds me, I never explained the release date for this console. It is coming out on June 5th, and that is insane. It is so close for us to have this console in our hands. Just as I said, everyone was saying May 15th, everyone was saying it was going to come in May. I said, no, they're going to give us more time. I made a whole video about it. People were complaining, and I was right. It is coming out in early June, June 4th. The console itself will be priced at $450, but there is a Mario Kart digital bundle that you can get for $500, which, Mario Kart being a $80 digital game and $90 physical game, makes that a steal of a deal. If you want to get a Switch, you need to get that bundle. That Switch 2 Mario Kart World bundle, $50 extra is not bad at all. Now, in my previous videos, I talked about how pre-orders would likely go live right after the event. They will not be going live after the event. Gladly, I'm so happy that people have time to process this information, but I was right in that they are going to try to get you to buy it through their official website, and that is what I tried to do myself. They have a registration period going on right now. If you go to the Switch 2 website, you will be able to log in, you will be able to go to the Switch 2, and then it will say, register for your interest to buy. So I clicked on the interest to buy the Mario Kart World bundle and with the Switch 2 system, and it will let me know, it will email me when I am able to purchase it, and it said that I will be notified on May 8th. That will be the first batch of invitations to which people can start pre-ordering this console through the Nintendo website itself. There are a lot of hoops and hurdles to go through to be able to access this particular registration form. That is why Nintendo was so confidently saying in their financial report, this is the way we stop scalpers, because these are the different rules that you have to have. So basically, you have to have an invitation, because if you have a Nintendo Switch account, that is your first baseline. You have to have a Nintendo Switch account. Then you get the invitation to then be able to purchase it on May, but the requirements to do so means you have to have purchased an online membership at one point. You must have had any paid Nintendo Switch Online membership for a minimum of 12 months, and you must have opted in to share your gameplay data and have at least 50 hours total of gameplay, which means, hey, if you bought your Switch and you got online at one point and you have over 50 hours on that console, which is very likely that you do if you're watching this video, then you're good to go. You get to go register right now, and if you were fast enough, you will be one of those first people to get invitations on May 8th. For everybody else, I assume that retailers will let us know within the coming weeks when pre-orders will go live, and there's a good chance that, like with the PS5, Walmart will just go crazy and say, pre-orders now. So just make sure you are staying tuned to people who are notifying people, and just stay tuned to the Walmart and everything else on Twitter and everything else, just to make sure that you get your pre-orders in. I will try my best in some of my different videos to keep you updated on this, so that way you can get your Switch too. But I do think this is going to sell very quickly. While the games are expensive, the console is pretty well priced. So I think the console itself will be very hard to get, and all of these different third-party games they announced will help boost sales as well. Back to the direct overview. Basically what they did next was they went to the world tour of the Nintendo Switch 2, a digital paid game that I was talking about earlier. Should not be paid, should definitely come with the console itself. I don't know what they were thinking there. I don't know how in-depth this is, but basically it will give you an overview of the console itself, all the mechanics that you can use, everything that's new with it, little mini games, tech demos, all that such that you really should be getting for free, but you have to pay for it, and we don't know how much yet because Nintendo has decided to hide all of their prices deep within their websites. I am still learning new information as I am recording this, and that's why it took me so long to get this video out, when it really didn't need to take that long, but they just decided to give all this information differently. So they wanted to keep it condensed to an hour, and a lot of other information came out later. They then showed us off the difference between the Switch 1 game cards and the Switch 2 game cards. The only difference really is that they are the exact same size, but it's red now, and that's the same thing with the cases. The cases are red, and it's very big, obnoxious, and ugly, and it says Switch 2 at the top, and a lot of the box art is kind of covered by it, but you know what? I am happy, because at least that means people won't get confused. I know a lot of people were concerned that Switch 2 editions and all of this such would make people confused. Oh, it's the same game, but it's for Switch 2, so what do I do? What do I get? And it can be confusing, but they really tried to make it to where it wasn't by just plastering the Switch 2 on the top and then a bunch of fine print at the bottom for some of those Switch 2 edition games. But it shouldn't be confusing for people because it is big and obnoxious, and it is Switch 2. They talked a little bit more about the storage of this thing. It's going to be 8 times the initial storage of the Switch 1. Switch 1 had 32 gigabytes at launch, which is an obscenely low amount, but then now we get 256 gigabytes, which is way more. People are concerned about that, as they probably should be, because third-party games will be a lot bigger files, but Nintendo seems to have compression down to a T, so I really do think that a lot of these Switch games will not be as big of game files, and you won't have to worry about buying any sort of SD card. But if you do, only express SD cards will work. The regular SD cards will not work with this system, which makes me think, oh my gosh, so many parents are going to get confused and buy SD cards and it not work, and they're going to be frustrated and Google it. It's going to be a mess, but hey, Nintendo believed this was the best way to do it. It was the most efficient way to do it, and that's just how they're moving forward with it. They talked about how we are going to be able to transfer our data over from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, and they basically said as long as you have an account, it will just do it automatically. So if you have a Switch 2, you'll sign in with your account, and then I assume the games will just download from there. Super easy, and I really hope it doesn't use that crappy system that the Switches did. If you had multiple Switches, you would have to use a horrible system, but I really think this is going to be a lot easier. They're going to focus on ease of consumer. Then they showed off the new Pro Controller. It looks phenomenal. It has the C button, of course. The white shoulder buttons are gorgeous. I think this thing is going to be extremely expensive, but it will be probably worth the price. The Switch 1 Pro Controller is my favorite controller of all time. Then they went into Switch 2 Edition games a little bit more. If you had been following my channel, you will know Switch 2 Editions were kind of leaked a little bit before the Direct by Nintendo themselves, and we just speculated that this is what it was going to be, and this is what it was. They showed off Mario Party Jamboree as the very first game. It has a Jamboree TV mode, so essentially what I am gathering from this is that They are telling developers, if you want to do a Switch 2 edition for your Switch 1 game, by all means, please go ahead, develop a better looking version with updates if you want, more content if you want, but they weren't like saying, okay, everyone has to do this for every Switch game. So I really think that a lot of these Switch games are going to have Switch 2 editions, but not every single one. So unfortunately, your favorite game may never get one. But there is a chance that down the line, they update them and you get it for free, because most of these will be for free, which is amazing and is the best financial thing they could have done for us so far. I'm honestly shocked that they did that, but a lot of these Switch 2 editions will be free. Here is a list of a bunch of the games that you will be able to get for free, only if, by the way, I should have mentioned this, but they are only free if you already had them on Switch 1. So for me, like Mario Odyssey here, ARMS, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Bowser's Fury, 3D World, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Link's Awakening, Clubhouse 31 games, 51 games, whatever it is, the Garage game, the Wii U Deluxe game for the Super Mario Bros., Scarlet and Violet, and then Brain Age, funnily enough. So those are the games that will be for free, and they get Switch 1 upgrades to the Switch 2. That is phenomenal. Mario Odyssey specifically, ARMS will be phenomenal. 3D World, I love Echoes of Wisdom and Link's Awakening. Both those games really kind of chugged on the Switch 1, which didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now they should be smooth and silky. Here is where some even more good news can come into play if you are a big Switch 1 fan looking to get Switch 2 upgrades. They then went on to say Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are getting very special Switch 2 editions. These games are getting a ton of new content with these editions. So I was completely and totally right by predicting Breath of the Wild here, because it is getting all of the DLC included day one with this package, and you get a whole bunch of new stuff with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild on your phone smart app. You can have all sorts of new lore dumps, like if you walk into a different area, basically it will know you're there and you can look at your phone and it will tell you different story beats with the different characters being voiced directly to you. So if I am walking into the castle, into the room where Zelda resides, she will then on my phone tell a story about what she is thinking, and it will be read out loud to me, and that's really cool. If you're searching for all 900 Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild and all 1,000 plus of them, however many there are in Tears of the Kingdom, there is now like a GPS mode with an AI bot that says, hey, go this way if you want to get a Korok seed. Go this way if you want to do this. There are so many features here that I will cover in its own video, but wow, are these games a lot better. And for all of these Switch 2 editions that you would have to pay for otherwise with an upgrade, you will get them for free if you have the Switch Online Expansion Pass, which they are really pushing here. I personally have never shelled out for the Expansion Pass because a lot of those features have to do with DLC, and the thing with that they get you here is if you ever decide, you know what, I don't have the money to pay this yearly subscription, I don't want to do the Expansion Pass, then all of those games are literally just gone. You cannot access them anymore. You've paid yearly after yearly for these things and you just don't get them anymore. So what I've done is just paid for the initial DLC and just not bought in the Expansion Pass. But I don't know, this deal looks really good, and now with the Expansion Pass you get GameCube games with more to come. So GameCube games on top of N64 games, on top of all the DLC for all these other games, on top of these Switch 2 edition games, all being for free day one with your Nintendo Switch 2. That is a bargain and a heck of a deal that people will not be able to pass up. And that is just going to have to come down to your individual tastes. Do you think you'll have this Expansion Pass forever? Do you want to ever go back and play Tears of the Kingdom in its perfectly new resolution mode with 4K? And oh my gosh, I'm frothing at the mouth thinking of it. If you ever decide the Expansion Pass is, you know what, it's not going to work anymore for me, then that's just gone. You don't get that anymore. So I don't know, man. A lot of people have Xbox Game Pass and they seem perfectly fine with that. It's a little bit different than this, but I think me personally, I'm just going to shell out the money for these upgrades and just own them. Other games that have Switch 2 editions that you will probably have to pay for, I believe, is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It adds a whole bunch of content, which is insane. And then Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is the first ever Switch 2 confirmed game to give you the option to either play in 4K 60 FPS quality mode or 1080p 120 FPS performance mode. Both modes will have HDR, making this look phenomenal, way better, and honestly it will depend on the TV you own and just your preferences. Do you want it to look a lot smoother, or do you want the game itself to look rendered better? Then we have Pokemon ZA also getting an upgraded Switch 2 edition, and I will be honest here, the game looks fine. And before it looked horrible, it looked bad in my opinion, but now it just looks fine. And maybe we've not seen a lot of the gameplay, and I honestly do think the Switch 2 developers and the Pokemon developers are getting better. So this new hardware is probably helping them be better, because obviously the old hardware, the Switch could do amazing things if the people knew what they were doing, but I think a lot of these younger developers at Game Freak didn't quite know how to make the most of that, and so they struggled. But now with better hardware, I think these Pokemon games will probably start to look at least acceptable. Then they showed off this really cool game that's like wheelchair basketball, and that is a great function for mouse functionality. It shows you just how to use it. You can like wave your Joy-Con and have the ball be passed to you. It's such a cool and inclusive game. I love this idea so much. I just can't fathom it being any more than $50, $60, because it does seem like another one of those tech demo games, something like ARMS, that probably won't sell too well. My reactions video isn't up to this yet because I had really struggled with figuring out the video files. Nintendo registered all of these in 4K. They're all rendered in 4K on YouTube, which means the downloading process I had does not work anymore, so I had to figure out a whole new process for this video, and everything is delayed because of that. So that reaction video will be up later. But the next thing that happened, they were like, okay, now we're going to show us some third-party games, and I was like, cool. It went to black, and I said, I wonder if Elden Ring, and the second I finished that sentence, Elden Ring popped up, and I couldn't have laughed any harder, because at this point, it's been like 30 minutes through and everything I predicted was right. Then they showed off Hades 2. They showed off a literal million bunch of different games. They showed off Daemon X Machina sequel, Final Fantasy. Then my friends, they were like, okay, we're going to continue with third party. And I see Koei Tecmo, and I'm thinking, Age of Calamity? No. Aonuma said he didn't want to do that unless there was a purpose for it, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, Age of freaking Calamity sequel, a Tears of the Kingdom rendition of Age of Calamity, Age of Imprisonment, and it looks phenomenal. That was the biggest criticism with Age of Calamity, was it just didn't run very well. This game runs beautifully. It looks amazing, and I cannot wait to play this prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. Then they showed off Deltarune, Borderlands 4, Civilization 7, EA is back with Madden. Then they had the weird game that broke the stream, and this will forever go down in infamy. I don't even know what this game is called. It's called Survival Kids, and Survival Kids is what broke the Switch 2 Direct really close to the end. I was thinking, oh my gosh, in my reactions, I was like, did it freeze? Is it me? Is it my computer? I don't know what's going on. And then I looked at the chat, and everyone else saw that it was freezing, so it was funny, and they had to fix that later in the actual upload. So then Final Fantasy VII is coming, another thing I confirmed in my predictions, and Silksong, another thing I predicted, but they didn't give a release date. It's just for 2025, so they gave us like 2 seconds of this game and didn't show anything else, and I am a little bit concerned about Team Cherry not giving us literally any information. Then after this sizzle reel, they gave us a brand new From Software exclusive for the Nintendo Switch 2. This game is called Dusk Bloods. I called it Dusk Lords on accident in my reaction video, but that game is phenomenal. Then they showed us a falling star, and I was thinking, what in the world is this? Is this Kirby? Oh my gosh. I was a little disappointed because I figured this would be one of the last announcements. Then I was like, oh my gosh, it could be Smash. Then I saw the little rocket thing on the back, and I said, oh my goodness, it is Kirby's Air Rider. And I said, this is probably Sakurai. And then at the end, it said directed by Sakurai. So he's working on that, which then gives a little bit more cadence to the idea of what I was saying. Smash won't come for the next couple years. He's working on something else to refresh his palette. Then we got not a 3D Mario game like literally everyone ever has predicted for this presentation, but a 3D Donkey Kong game. The rumors were true. The leaks were true. A couple years ago, they were saying, oh, a 3D Donkey Kong is being developed by the Mario Odyssey team, and it's great, and it's going to be awesome, and it just kind of didn't come, so we thought, oh, it's not real. Wow, it is real, and it looks gorgeous. This game, Donkey Kong Bonanza, looks phenomenal. I am so glad that they are bringing him back. Donkey Kong really needs more chances on the Switch 2. I think, honestly, this game is going to be a big blockbuster. It comes out 3 days before my birthday, July 17th, so I am very excited to play this in July. Overall, that Direct was phenomenal. If you took it all by itself and didn't think about any of the extra stuff they didn't tell you, then you would probably think it was the best Direct of all time. Adding in some context about the pricing of these games, the pricing of the console itself, the bundles, how you're going to get pre-orders, how these games are going to run, because actually I saw later on there's a game key card. So a lot of these physical games for third parties and maybe even first party at some point, you put in the actual key card and it's not even the game on the card itself. You have to download it. So you're literally just paying $10 extra for a box if Nintendo does this for their first party games. I think they're going to do it third party. It probably won't be a lot of first party, but just the fact this is an option is kind of scummy. I don't know how they're going to move forward with all of these different games, but the thing is that they showed off so much and so little at the same time. Mario Kart was already confirmed and it is now going to be a launch title. Then they showed off that wheelchair game with the basketball. Then they showed off the game chat feature. They showed off a bunch of different first party games like the tour game that should be a back-end game like I said earlier. They showed off Age of Imprisonment, the new Kirby Air Ride, a new Donkey Kong 3D game, all of these Switch 2 editions, Elden Ring, plus a bunch of third-party games day one. There are so many things for us to play, but what they didn't show off was a lot of other first-party games. That means in June, once this thing launches on the 5th, that is going to be an amazing time for us to not only have the Switch 2 in our hands, but probably get a June Direct with a bunch of new announcements for the fall and winter. It was either my predictions video or my wishlist video for 2025. I cannot remember which. It was probably both. I had said I really do think and hope and wish that Nintendo will not show us a ton of first-party stuff at the Switch 2 presentation. And I am glad they didn't. And people might say, what the heck? Why don't you want to see a whole bunch of new games? It's not that I don't want to see a bunch of new games. It's that in 2017, we got bloated, absolutely blasted with a bunch of new first-party games. Every single month, it seemed, there was a new first-party game. And then in 2018, there were a bunch of ports and a bunch of older games and not a lot of new until the very end of the year with Smash Ultimate. And people were really upset with that. People were upset. We got a bunch of new first-party games in 2017, and then in 2018, we didn't get hardly anything. So I hoped that they would spread these games out, and it looks now that they've been so successful, they can actually take a step back and say, okay, let's be strategic about our games. Let's spread them out. Let's not leave any blank spots on the schedule. Mario Kart at launch in June. Huge. Donkey Kong in July with Mario Party Jamboree in July. Huge. We're going to have Metroid Prime 4 coming later this year probably. Pokemon ZA in the holiday. Other winter games. And then all of the third-party games on day one as well. There will be so many games to play. And now that I think about it, we didn't need to see a bunch in this Direct because in June we'll probably get even more announcements for later in the year. And this console not launching in March but launching in June really does them a lot of favors. If there is a new 3D Mario game, which now I'm questioning its existence, there has to be, but now I'm questioning who is making it. If there is a new 3D Mario game, there's a chance it won't come out until next year. And if that's the case, how cool would it be to have a early Q1 game be a 3D Mario game? And then we keep having all of these games fill out the schedule, right? It will be so much better this way. So please be patient. If you did not see your favorite franchise, I promise you it is coming. I promise you they are just making it as good as possible. This console looks gorgeous. It will play gorgeous. You will not be disappointed. Alright, I have got to get the heck out of here and make some more videos and eat some lunch because this is crazy. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Join my membership program to support my channel. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all later today.